For 7 years, a billionaire's daughter lived trapped in silence. Her father owned half the city, but he couldn't buy her a single sound. The best doctors in the world examined her, specialists from Germany, Japan, Switzerland, millions of dollars spent. Zero results. Then one afternoon, a poor 7-year-old girl with no medical training stopped on a sidewalk, looked at her ear, and saw what every expert missed. In less than 2 minutes, she pulled out something that changed everything. The billionaire's daughter heard her first sound. Ever. But what that little girl pulled out of her ear, that's when everything got dark. Because it wasn't a medical problem. Someone put it there. On purpose. And when they found out who, it destroyed everyone in that room. Before we continue, subscribe to this channel right now and comment below where you're watching from. Because what happens next will make you question who you trust around your own family. Let me take you back to where it all started. The delivery room was loud. Machines beeped, doctors moved fast. Nurses called out numbers. But when the baby came out, everything stopped. No cry. The mother's chest heaved, waiting. The father stood frozen at her side, staring at the tiny body in the doctor's hands. The baby's eyes were open. Wide. Staring at the bright lights above her. But her mouth didn't move. "Why isn't she crying?" the mother whispered. A nurse stepped closer, snapping her fingers near the baby's ear. Nothing. She clapped her hands. Still nothing. The doctor's face went tight. "We need to run some tests." The father, one of the richest men in the state, felt his throat close up. He'd built hotels, owned companies, controlled boardrooms with a single look, but right now he couldn't control the shaking in his hands. They ran tests for hours. Auditory response, neural pathways, brain scans. Every result came back the same. The doctor finally walked into the waiting room, clipboard in hand. His voice was soft, too soft. "Sir, your daughter is healthy, strong, but she's not responding to any sound." The mother covered her mouth. "What does that mean?" the father asked. "She can't hear." The words hung in the air like smoke. "At all?" The doctor shook his head. "We don't know why yet. But right now, no, she can't hear anything." That night, the father sat alone in the hospital room. His daughter was asleep in the small crib beside him, wrapped in white blankets. He whispered her name. She didn't move. He said it louder. Nothing. He stood up, leaning over the crib, and spoke directly into her ear. "Can you hear me? Please, baby. Please, hear me." Her tiny chest rose and fell, peaceful, unaware. He sat back down, head in his hands. His wife was asleep across the room, exhausted from labor. The nurses had left them alone. For the first time in his life, the billionaire felt powerless. He could buy anything, fix anything, make calls that changed entire industries overnight, but he couldn't make his daughter hear his voice. He pulled out his phone and started searching. Specialists, surgeons, experimental treatments, anything. The screen blurred as his eyes filled with tears. He wiped them away fast, like someone might see. Then he looked back at his daughter. She was staring at the ceiling, eyes wide and curious, watching shadows move across the walls. She looked so calm, so perfect. But inside him, something had broken. "I'll fix this," he whispered. "I don't care what it takes. I'll fix this." The baby blinked slowly, her tiny hand curling into a fist, and the father made a promise he didn't know he couldn't keep. Not with money, not with power, not with anything he had. The only thing that would save her was something he'd never see coming. A little girl with no wealth, no name, and a gift no doctor could explain. But that was years away. For now, all he had was silence. In public, the billionaire never flinched. Boardrooms, press conferences, charity galas. He stood tall, shoulders back, face carved from stone. But at home, he was falling apart. Every morning, he walked into his daughter's nursery before work. She'd be awake, staring at the mobile above her crib, watching the shapes spin in silence. He'd lean over and say, "Good morning, sweetheart," She never turned her head. He'd clap his hands, snap his fingers, play music from his phone right next to her ear. Nothing. His assistant started noticing things. Coffee left untouched, meetings he zoned out of, phone calls he forgot to return. "Sir, are you okay?" she asked one afternoon. He looked up from his desk, eyes hollow. "I'm fine." He wasn't. At night, after his wife went to bed, he'd sit in his office with the door locked. Medical reports spread across his desk, audiology charts, brain scans, research papers. He read everything: cochlear implants, gene therapy, experimental surgeries in Europe. He called specialists in the middle of the night, offering whatever they wanted. Double their salary, triple it. Just tell me you can help her. But every conversation ended the same way. "We'll do our best, but there are no guarantees." His hands would shake when he hung up. One night, his wife found him in the nursery at 3 a.m., sitting on the floor beside the crib. "You need to sleep," she said softly. "I can't." "She's fine. She's healthy." "She can't hear me," he said, voice cracking. "I tell her I love her every day and she has no idea." His wife knelt beside him, taking his hand. "She knows," she whispered. "She feels it." He wanted to believe that, but it didn't stop the ache in his chest. He started avoiding friends, stopped going to dinners, canceled trips. His business partners called, concerned. "You've missed 3 meetings this week. I'll be there next time." But he wasn't. One afternoon he was sitting in traffic, staring at nothing, when a car next to him rolled down its window. A toddler in the back seat waved at him, giggling. The father waved back. Then the toddler's mom said something, and the kid turned around, laughing at whatever she'd said. The billionaire's throat tightened. That kid could hear his mom's voice. His daughter never would. He pulled over to the side of the road and sat there for 20 minutes, gripping the steering wheel, trying not to break down. When he finally got home, his daughter was in the living room with a nanny playing with blocks. He sat down on the floor beside her. She looked up at him and smiled. That smile hit him harder than any business loss ever had. She didn't know. She didn't know what she was missing. And maybe that was worse. He reached out and touched her tiny hand. "I'm going to fix this," he whispered. "I swear." But deep down, for the first time in his life, he didn't believe his own words. He'd conquered everything, built empires, crushed competitors, shaped skylines, but he couldn't give his daughter the one thing she needed most. A single sound. And it was destroying him from the inside out. The billionaire flew in specialists from everywhere. Germany, Japan, Switzerland, Boston. The best ears, nose, and throat doctors in the world. They came with leather briefcases and confident smiles, ready to solve what others couldn't. But one by one, they all said the same thing. The first specialist was from London. He ran tests for 3 days straight. Brain scans, hearing tests, neural imaging. On the 4th day, he sat down with the parents in his temporary office. "Her auditory nerves aren't responding. There's no damage we can see. They just don't work." The father leaned forward. "So fix them." The doctor hesitated. "Sir, it's not that simple." "Make it simple. I'll pay whatever it costs." "It's not about money. The nerves are intact, but they're not transmitting signals. We don't know why." The billionaire's jaw tightened. "Then find out why." The doctor looked down at his notes. "I'm sorry. I wish I had better news." The second specialist came from Tokyo. She was younger, sharper, known for impossible cases. She spent 2 weeks running different tests. New technology. Advanced equipment. Same result. "I've seen cases like this before," she said carefully. "Sometimes the brain just doesn't process sound. We don't have a cure yet." "Yet?" the father repeated. "Maybe in 10 years, 20. But right now, I don't have 20 years," she nodded slowly. "I understand." The third doctor was American. Stanford, top of his field. He didn't sugarcoat anything. "Sir, I've reviewed everything. Your daughter's case is what we call idiopathic hearing loss. That means we don't know the cause." "So guess." "I can't. And even if I could, there's no surgery that would help. No implant that would work. Her nerves won't carry the signal." The billionaire stood up. "You're telling me there's nothing?" "I'm telling you the truth. Get out." The doctor gathered his files and left quietly. The father tried 14 more specialists after that. Some suggested experimental drugs. Others mentioned trials happening overseas. One doctor said, "Maybe it's better to accept this early. Help her adjust instead of chasing hope." The billionaire nearly threw him out of the house. He wasn't giving up. He funded research labs, donated millions to hearing loss foundations, hired private scientists to study his daughter's case specifically. But nothing changed. One night, a surgeon from Switzerland called him. "I've been reviewing your daughter's file," he said, "and I need to be honest with you." "Go ahead." "There's no medical error here. No blockage, no tumor, no infection. Her auditory system just doesn't respond. And I've seen thousands of cases. This one, I can't help." The billionaire sat in silence. "I'm sorry," the surgeon continued. "I know that's not what you want to hear." "No, it's not. Sometimes. The answers we're looking for don't exist yet." The call ended. The billionaire sat alone in his office, staring at the wall. He'd thrown money at the problem, brought in the smartest people on earth, and they'd all failed. Not because they didn't care, but because they didn't know. His daughter was healthy, strong, beautiful, but trapped in silence, and no amount of wealth could break her free. He didn't know that the answer wasn't in a lab. It wasn't in a medical journal. It wasn't in the hands of a trained professional. It was in the hands of a little girl who hadn't even been born yet. A girl with no money, no training, no reason to help, except one. She could feel things others couldn't, and one day she'd feel exactly what was wrong. The billionaire's daughter turned 3, then 4, then 5. She grew into a quiet child, observant, gentle. While other kids ran around screaming and laughing, she sat on the edge of playgrounds, watching. Her father built her the biggest playroom money could buy: swings, slides, a treehouse with cushioned floors. But she rarely smiled there. She liked picture books, the ones with no words, just images she could understand without needing sound. Her parents hired the best sign language teachers, speech therapists, specialists who worked with deaf children. She learned fast, picked up signs quicker than expected. But learning wasn't the problem. Belonging was. Other kids came over for play dates. Their parents were friends of the billionaire, trying to be supportive. The kids would run up to her shouting, "Wanna play tag?" She'd stare at their lips, trying to piece together what they were saying. They'd repeat it, louder, like volume was the issue. She still didn't respond. Eventually, they'd give up and run off to play with each other. She'd stand by the fence, watching them laugh at jokes she couldn't hear. One day, her father found her sitting on the front steps of the mansion, chin in her hands, staring at the street. He sat down beside her. "What are you thinking about?" he signed. She pointed at a kid riding by on a bike. The kid was singing. Badly. Off-key. But singing. "I want to do that," she signed back. Her father's chest tightened. "You can ride a bike. I'll get you one right now." She shook her head. "Not the bike." She pointed at the kid's mouth. Her father understood. She didn't want the bike. She wanted the song. He pulled her close, and she rested her head on his shoulder. At school, it was worse. The teachers tried. They really did. But the other kids didn't understand. They'd wave at her. She'd wave back. Then they'd say something, and she wouldn't respond. They'd think she was ignoring them. "She's weird," one kid said. "She doesn't talk," another added. "She wasn't weird. She was just different, and different felt like the loneliest word in the world. During recess, she'd sit under a tree, watching everyone else play. Sometimes a teacher would sit with her, trying to keep her company. But pity wasn't friendship. One afternoon, she pressed her hand against the classroom window during a thunderstorm. She felt the glass shake, felt the vibration of the thunder rolling through the air. That's how she experienced sound, through feeling, through movement. But it wasn't the same. She knew it wasn't the same. At night, her mother would tuck her in, kissing her forehead. "I love you," her mother would say out loud, then sign it. The girl would sign it back. But when her mother left and closed the door, the girl would stare at the ceiling, wondering what "I love you" actually sounded like. Did it sound warm? Soft? Like a hug? She'd never know. Her father checked on her every night. Sometimes twice. He'd stand in the doorway watching her sleep, praying for a miracle he didn't believe in anymore. She wasn't sad because she was deaf. She was sad because everyone else had something she didn't. A voice, a laugh, a connection. She wanted to belong, but the world didn't know how to let her in. And so she stayed on the outside, watching life happen to everyone else. Until the day everything changed, until the day a little girl with no reason to care cared anyway. Across the city, in a cramped apartment above a laundromat, lived a girl named Sky. She was 7 years old, skinny, quiet, with eyes that seemed too old for her face. Her mother worked 2 jobs, mornings at a diner, nights cleaning office buildings. Her father left before Sky could walk. No goodbye, no explanation, just gone. The apartment was small, 1 bedroom, a couch that folded out into a bed, a kitchen with a fridge that hummed too loud. But it was home. Sky didn't complain. Ever. When other kids at school bragged about new toys, she stayed quiet. When they talked about family vacations, she nodded and smiled. She knew her mom was trying, and that was enough. But Sky was different. In ways even her mom didn't fully understand. She noticed things, like when her teacher said she was fine, but her hands shook when she picked up her coffee, or when a classmate smiled but had red eyes from crying in the bathroom. Sky saw through people, not in a mean way, in a way that made her want to help. One day a kid in her class tripped and scraped his knee. He didn't cry, just sat there staring at the blood. Everyone else kept playing, but Sky walked over, sat down next to him, and stayed there until he felt better. She didn't say much. She didn't have to. He just looked at her and nodded. "Thanks." Her mom noticed it too. "You got a gift, baby," she said one night while folding laundry. "You feel people. You know when something's wrong before they even say it." Sky shrugged. "I just pay attention. It's more than that." Sky didn't argue, but she didn't understand it either. All she knew was that when someone was hurting, she felt it. Like a pull. Like something inside her said, "Go help." At school, teachers called her sweet. Classmates called her nice. But Sky didn't think she was special. She just did what felt right. One afternoon, she was walking home from school, backpack dragging on the ground because it was too heavy. She passed by a woman sitting on a bench, staring at nothing. Sky stopped. The woman wasn't crying, wasn't talking, just sitting. But Sky felt it. The sadness, the weight. She walked up slowly. "Are you okay?" The woman blinked, surprised. "I'm fine, sweetie." Sky didn't move. "You sure?" The woman's eyes filled with tears. "My mom just passed." Sky sat down next to her. Didn't say anything. Just sat there. After a few minutes, the woman wiped her eyes. "Thank you." Sky nodded and walked home. That night, her mom asked how school was. "Good," Sky said. "Anything happen?" Sky thought about the woman on the bench. "I helped someone." Her mom smiled. "You always do." Sky didn't know it yet, but that instinct, that pull to help people, was preparing her for something bigger, something that would change 2 lives forever. She didn't know that across town, a little girl sat in a mansion, trapped in silence, waiting for someone to notice what everyone else missed. She didn't know that one day she'd walk past that girl on the street, and she wouldn't keep walking, she'd stop, she'd feel that same pull, and she'd do what no doctor, no specialist, no amount of money could do. She'd find the truth. But that day hadn't come yet. For now, Sky was just a kid with a heavy backpack, walking home to a small apartment, unaware that destiny was already watching her, waiting. The billionaire's mansion sat on a hill like a castle, iron gates, security cameras, marble floors that echoed when you walked. Sky's apartment sat above a laundromat. The walls were thin, the floor creaked, the window didn't close all the way. 2 kids, same city, completely different worlds. The billionaire's daughter ate meals prepared by a private chef. Sky ate cereal for dinner when her mom worked late. The billionaire's daughter had a closet full of dresses she'd never wear. Sky had 3 outfits she rotated through the week. The billionaire's daughter rode in the back of a black SUV with tinted windows. Sky took the city bus, clutching her backpack on her lap. They'd never met, never even seen each other, but fate was already pulling their stories together. One afternoon, the billionaire drove through Sky's neighborhood on the way to a business meeting. He stared out the window at the cracked sidewalks, the graffiti on the walls, the kids playing in the street with a half-flat basketball. He didn't stop, didn't think twice about it. But Sky was there, walking home from school, backpack hanging off one shoulder. She glanced at the black SUV as it passed. For a second, their worlds were 5 feet apart. Then the SUV turned the corner and disappeared. A few weeks later, Sky's mom took her across town to clean an office building near the rich neighborhood. Sky sat in the lobby doing homework on the floor while her mom vacuumed upstairs. Through the glass doors, she could see the mansion on the hill. "Who lives there?" she asked when her mom came back down. Her mom glanced outside. "Rich people. Are they happy?" Her mom paused. "I don't know, baby. Money doesn't fix everything." Sky stared at the mansion a little longer, then went back to her homework. Inside that mansion, the billionaire's daughter sat by her bedroom window, looking down at the city below. She watched cars drive by, watched people walk their dogs, watched the world move, but she couldn't hear any of it. Sometimes she wondered what it sounded like down there. Did car horns sound angry? Did dogs sound happy? Did people's voices sound different from each other? She'd never know. Her father walked into her room and sat beside her. "What are you looking at?" he signed. She pointed at the city. "Do you want to go down there?" he signed. She nodded. He hesitated. He didn't like taking her out. Too many people. Too many stairs. Too many questions he didn't have answers for, but he couldn't keep her locked up forever. "Okay," he signed. "Tomorrow." She smiled. The next day they drove into the city. Just the 2 of them. He took her to a park, let her walk around, let her feel normal for a little while. She sat on a bench watching kids play soccer. One of them kicked the ball too hard. It rolled toward her. A boy ran over, out of breath. "Can you kick it back?" She stared at him. He repeated it, louder. She didn't move. The boy frowned, grabbed the ball, and ran off. Her father saw the whole thing. He sat down beside her and she leaned into him. He kissed the top of her head, wishing he could take her pain away. Across the park, Sky was there too, playing on the swings with a friend from school. She didn't notice the billionaire's daughter. Not yet. But fate was getting closer. 2 kids. 2 lives. 1 moment away from colliding. And when they finally did, everything would change. Sky didn't think she was special, but everyone around her knew something was different. Her teacher noticed it first. One day in class, a boy named Marcus sat quietly at his desk, head down. "Marcus, you okay?" the teacher asked. "Yeah," he muttered. The teacher moved on, but Sky didn't. She walked over during free time and sat next to him. "What's wrong?" she asked softly. "Nothing. You're lying." Marcus looked up, surprised. "How do you know?" "I just do." He stared at her for a second. Then his lips started trembling. "My dog died yesterday." Sky nodded. "I'm sorry." She didn't say anything else, just sat with him until he felt a little better. The teacher watched from across the room, amazed. It happened again a week later. A girl named Emma smiled all day, laughing, joking with friends. But when Sky walked past her in the hallway, she stopped. "You okay?" Sky asked. Emma's smile faded. "Yeah, why?" "You look sad." "I'm not." Sky tilted her head. "Yes, you are." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "My parents are getting divorced." Sky hugged her. No words, just a hug. Emma cried into her shoulder, and Sky stood there until she was done. Her mom asked her about it one night. "How do you always know when someone's hurting?" Sky shrugged. "I just feel it." "What do you mean?" "I don't know. It's like when someone's sad, I can tell. Even if they're smiling." Her mom studied her face. "That's a gift, baby." "It doesn't feel like a gift." "Why not?" "Because it hurts. When they hurt, I hurt." Her mom pulled her close. "That means you got a big heart. Don't ever lose that." Sky nodded, but she didn't fully understand. All she knew was that when someone needed help, she couldn't ignore it. It was like a pull. A voice inside her that said, "Go. Help them." And she always listened. One day she was walking home from school and saw a man sitting on the curb, head in his hands. She almost kept walking, but the pull was too strong. She stopped in front of him. "Are you okay?" He looked up, confused. "I'm fine, kid." "No, you're not." He stared at her. Then he laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. "You're right, I'm not." "What happened?" "Lost my job today." Sky sat down next to him. "That sucks." "Yeah, it does." They sat in silence for a minute. Then he looked at her. "Why'd you stop?" "I don't know. I just knew you needed someone." He nodded slowly. "Thanks, kid." Sky stood up and kept walking. She didn't know his name, didn't know if he'd be okay, but she hoped he would. Her mom was right. It was a gift, but it was also heavy. Because Sky couldn't turn it off. She felt everything, everyone, and one day that gift would lead her to someone who needed her more than anyone ever had. A little girl trapped in silence. A little girl everyone had tried to help but failed. A little girl with something hidden,